evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm absolutely delighted to be here tonight and speak to these two wonderful gentlemen. And I also think that the subject, the topic of this evening's discussion is very relevant and important. We are seeing a real burst of the entrepreneurial spirit and the energy in the country right now. And essentially, it's been democratized. But along with that, there are of course challenges, and the theme of tonight is how do you build brands and businesses that are built to last, which of course is a very relevant topic to take into account. So just to begin, and we'll explore different facets of that conversation, beginning with something we like to call collaborative growth. So we're going to kick off there, and I'm going to sort of ask Mr. Agarwal to sort of draw on his sort of vast experience over the years to perhaps dial back a little bit to where his journey started. And when you compare it especially to what you're seeing now, young people having, with the tools and the democratization of helping them start businesses. So when you see what's happening right now and the energy, when you compare it to when you started, tell us a little bit about that time. Draw on your experience to give a little bit of insight into what it was for you when you started.
Good evening, friends. When I look back, 87, we started off in 87. I probably would have not known franchise as a word, but we started as a franchisee, as a sub-broker. That time it was sub-broker to a main broker, and with zero capital. That's a real thing. Like I was looking for a business model, where I was a chartered accountant and I knew everything about the stock market, but I didn't have money. So how do I start the business? So I was looking for a seller's market, where the clients will pay for everything, and I don't have money. So how do I start? So that's how we started. Zero capital, 2 bosses, 1 bill, and the promise was that Sundaraya, who was my master franchisee or whosoever, his sub-broker we became, and hence he was doing all the problems related to the BSE and even the working capital, and we found another way that our client was paying for all the purchases in the stock market. So we found a way to do completely negative working capital, but starting a business which makes me feel like 500,000 rupees per day, and then we kept on building up, and then after 5 years, when we made some money, 10-15 lakhs, and then we said we want to become now master, and we want to give franchise to 7 guys. So that's how in 1990 Motilal Oswal bought the membership in BSE and became the main broker, and 7 sub-brokers started going, which are nothing but franchises.
And that kind of growth is just amazing to look at, and it's long-term growth that we're talking about this evening. So that again is important. And I'll come to you now, Dheeraj, and to speak about collaborative growth. And tell me, what were some of the revelations you had, not just during the course of writing this book, but just along in your journey? What were some of the revelations that eventually then fed into you compiling, you sort of putting it together in a book?
First of all, I'd like to thank Raamdeo for being here and making occasion so special. And to all the people who have come here, this is I had one objective when I was calling people, that all of Jumboking's well-wishers, all the people who have contributed to where we are today, I need to see everyone in the room. A lot of them are meeting for the first time. They do a lot of business together, but they are meeting for the first time. So thank you everyone for taking the time out.
And that wasn't just pandemic induced, right?
No, it was not pandemic induced. That's the beauty of franchising. Yeah. There's so much happening and you don't need to know every part of it.
That's exactly what you said. Yeah, exactly.
So coming to the book, I think I have been very fortunate when I passed out of college. So our dean used to say read books, but college maybe never took them seriously. But after I passed out from college, I started reading biographies. I wanted to really see how did McDonald's start. What you see today is very different from what the first 100 stores were. How did Starbucks start? Right? How did Subway get created? Because these are all brands which, did they have the privilege of a lot of money? Or was the journey different for them? What is there to learn? And I think all of them had gone through the journey. And franchising is a beautiful business model that is used in the food businesses. So, I said that I have benefited so much from people who have put down their knowledge and shared it with people. And so we get a lot of franchise inquiries. Franchisees, they are very vulnerable. आप उनको जो बोलोगे ना, they agree with it because they are so keen on getting into business. They need just a confident face, which is saying करो हो जाएगा. However, there is a lot of honesty which is required, a lot of responsibility which comes with franchising. So, that was, I said, let us put it out in the book. That yes, there are advantages and you will benefit a lot. However, always there is the downside. Like, stock market is subject to market risk. You don't see that in franchising. So I said, let me put it out over there. And so that people can read it. And yes, it also helps us establish ourselves as someone who understands franchising very well. And I think it also becomes a blueprint for someone who may be wanting to start a franchise business. So what are the things that he should keep in mind? But this is largely for franchises.
Just some anecdotes, that you can share with us from your journey.
So I think the kind of ideas that Raamdeo spoke about, the energy that the franchisee gets into the business, because when I used to go to stores, and we had some stores which were company owned. Over there, the kind of ideation, or there were no ideas which would really come. But when I would speak to a franchisee, whether it is product development or marketing or what can be done, there were such amazing nuggets of wisdom. So, what you thought was a very simple person who does not know the business, so आपसे सीख रहा है. But actually, he is the one who was actually teaching us on how to take the business to the next level. And I think people often underestimate what can be done, as in they overestimate what can be done in a year, and they underestimate what can be done in a decade. As in, I'm drawing inspiration from Raamdeo's story of having 3,500 franchises. What excites us is Subway having 78,000 franchisees all over the world. And just imagine different countries imagine in India, cold sandwich, right? We all like hot food, we all like spicy food. Subway is selling cold sandwiches which are not spicy and doing extremely well. So it is the franchise network and the learnings which come out of that. I think that it is all about creating leaders around, right? It is what people say that if you can surround yourself with a lot of smart people, you're going to grow. I think franchising is all about surrounding yourself with very smart people who are very invested in the business. They are not giving you advice just for the sake of giving advice. They are going to benefit a lot if that gets implemented and if it works.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so one final question before we maybe take questions from the audience. We don't know how much time we have, but just a little bit about what your message is for Indian businesses as we move to the next 10 years, because we hear this very often now that it is India's decade, it's the start of the Indian age. And we're hearing this not just from, business owners' ears, but everyone that's coming into the country and talking about India. I mean, that's the narrative. So what is your message? What is your outlook going into the next decade? It's a long time.
Yeah, so what we say is that India has 75 years of compounded past. India has grown from little nowhere to become $3 trillion economy. It looks like we are very small compared to US, China and all, but the journey of a poor person with such a huge population, I think it was about 35 crore population in 47, and now it is below 1.4 billion. And that too with the poverty. So you have numbers and poverty. It's very tough to handle. And then you have the very friendly borders. So you had all kinds of problems, headwinded, and democracy again. So India has a wonderful compounded past. If you look back, so you cannot forecast the future, but you can see the future from the eyes of the past. So if you see we've done one presentation at India at 75, that 75 years of compounded past, there is no reason why we will not have as good or better compounded future. And you do that 6-7% growth into the next 20-25 years, you are going to have one of the most rocking country in the world. Youngest and growing at 6-7%, the rest of the world is struggling to remain flat outside. So I think it is the place, but still it's a poor country. But so you'll have a lot of rich very rich and lot of poor and very poor. So I define rich countries or good countries by not having how big a billionaire is. How rich is the poor? That decides the richness of the country. Like in US, you get $20 per hour minimum wage. In India, you don't give even 100 rupees per hour minimum wage. I mean, people should be lucky to get even 400-500 rupees per day. That is about $5 per day for 12 hours per hour. That's where the poverty is decided. So I think this is what is going to be the journey. Our population growth will slow down, and I think the poorest of the poor will be far better off than what we have seen in the last 45 years. And that will be the real success of India.
You're hopeful. You're hopeful. It's going to be
hopeful.
India's decade, India's age.
Yeah, whether it is going to be as good as what I'm saying, or will it be better? Because to visualize 3 trillion going to 6 trillion is very tough. You see the kind of marriages people are doing now. Even just 10 years back, it was unbelievable, right? You know what happens? All Indians, they love to do some big marriage. I was asking somebody, is there any part of the world where people are so mad about marriage? You know, there's nobody, nowhere. And here people are competing whether 50 crore marriage, 100 crore marriage. It's just, I said, at $3 trillion, if the marriage is costing 50 crores for the upper end guys, I don't know, at $7 trillion, it might be 500 crores. So those kind of things are ahead. So India is not very exciting, very chaotic. It will remain even more chaotic as there is. But a lot of fun.
Amazing, amazing. That was so well. But before we close, I'll just get your views, Dheeraj, on India's decade, the Indian age, the start of the Indian age.
I am a super optimistic person, and on India, I think what we are seeing as a business owner, we've just got getting started. So as Raamdeo said, I don't know 78,000 stores in India is possible or not, but I do know that Domino's says 3,000 stores is the market for them. They are at about 1,400 stores. I'm sure by the time they get there, they'll say 5,000 stores. But we do feel that for every Domino's stores, there will be 3 to 4 Jumboking stores. That is how large the market is. So I wanted to find out how large the market is. I said, let us see, इसका सबसे largest network है, retail में, and it was SBI Bank. They have some 50,000 branches in India. I said, पूरा branch डालते हैं. So there must be they will have to be able to sustain the whole thing. Right? So now those are numbers which get very exciting. Those are the things that make me go to work every day. And that there is something where you are today, but 10 years down the line, it's going to be so much better. And I do believe 10 years down the line, I'll still be saying we are just getting started.
Absolutely, well said. So those were all the questions I had for now. But do we have time, perhaps, to take some questions from the audience? If anybody would like to ask a question of a panelist, or should we end on this high note? All right. So we should. But thank you so much. This was such an engaging conversation and so much to take away. And of course, everyone must visit Mr. Sharmaji's tea stall. This was a fantastic endorsement for him. So thank you for your time. And
having this conversation, listening to two leaders who have seen it over 2 decades, 3 decades. Is wonderful because it also gives us hope. It's not just learning for today, but it's also something that we carry forward, we take back home, and it will guide us at so many points when we are, thinking. This discussion also put the spotlight on harnessing the power of collaborative growth and how we can create brands and businesses that are built to last. So I'm very grateful. I would like to invite the 3 of you to launch this book before proceeding.
Ma'am, please come close.
Okay.